So, Dr. Corsi, those signs you ordered have come in. I've got the big one that says Office of the Emperor Select, and I know that's the one for you. But then the two little signs, I got the one that says Slave and the one that says Minion, and I don't know which one's for Arthur and which one's for me. You want to sort that out?
I don't think it matters. We can all take the Slave one. I mean, it's going to be the... Look, I'm not going to be discouraged. I'm going to tell you. I think I'm reminded of the very darkest days of the Blitz in World War II in London, when every night London was being bombed by the Nazis and London was burning. Buildings were being destroyed. People had no homes. People were being killed in their homes. They were going into the subways in order to survive. And Winston Churchill came on and he said, "This is our finest hour." And you think, how could this be your finest hour? Germany's destroying London. And they're saying, this is our finest hour. Well, the finest hour was because of the spirit, the resolve, the decision that we were not going to let evil win, that we were going to fight. And it only took Winston Churchill to turn the entire nation around. Okay, so today is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. And we're actually just beginning to get into the interesting part of the fight. This is when it gets interesting. And that's what I'm most interested in following. And I'm going to try to, we titled today, when Trump is now releasing the Kraken. I've asked Arthur to join us from the very beginning. Arthur, good to see you today.
Thank you for letting me come on, Dr. Corsi.
Well, Arthur heads the Prayerful Patriot. And I think today is the day we're going to be talking about a variety of themes, and it has to do a lot with prayer. Because I think it's going to take prayer, and maybe, I guess, an act of God is going to take at this point. You know, God is going to have to intervene. And if we pray, God will intervene. I think we've had some God events happening. I want to show again today where the positive is, where we are facing a very likely turnaround that is not apparent to everybody. Everybody's saying, oh, let's just all go with Biden. It'll be easier. Well, I mean, let me ask you something. If the election has to be stolen through destroying the Constitution and through fraud, how could that be good? Why would anyone think that giving into this will lead to a positive future? I mean, Craig, does it make sense to you?
It makes zero sense, and I am on the positive side of this, and maybe I'm just a Pollyanna. I remember that term we used to use all the time. That's kind of gone by the wayside. I'm seeing that the darkness has been revealed, and the weapons are coming out, and the light is shining, and I can't understand this pessimism that's come over some of the people around. But I say we stay strong and fear not.
Well, I'm there too. Arthur, what do you think of this moment in history? Where are we?
This is phenomenal. I mean, we're seeing it. Everything is being revealed to us. We're getting to see the darkness as how entrenched it's been. We've been praying for the exposure. It's starting to happen. And, you know, it's much like going to the doctor or the dentist and finding out that you've got, you know, a tooth that needs a root canal or something. We're now seeing it. It's not good news. And this is the time that we absolutely have to have that, you know, that spirit and joy, actually, that God's work is going to be done here. It's phenomenal. Never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, it's always, this is the storm. There's no doubt that this is the storm. And Donald Trump is the storm. I can assure you, he's not going to give up. And if he doesn't give up, why should anyone else give up? I'm not. I have no intention of giving up.
The super typhoon Donald.
Yeah, I mean, Donald, this is what he likes this. You know, this is going to be his finest hour, I can assure you. And it's going to be ours, too. And what's coming is also the Great Awakening, that we finally have a chance to realize what the future that this group wants to architect. You know, now they're talking about, you've got being said in Davos that they're going to combine our biological future and our technological future and our freedom future. We're all now going to become re-engineered human beings in this great new world, you know, the new world order. Well,
do we have to look like Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg?
No.
Yeah, there's your latent pair. That is the enlightened duo. And of course, the GOP, our side, can't ever get along. No one funds anything. Everybody tries to lead the band. Nobody wants to march in the band. And the other side, they organize. They've got money. They can carry out a plan. They can architect. I think they went a little bit earlier than they planned, but they could architect a pandemic. I mean, Bill Gates has been talking about this for years. Well, a pandemic will close down everything, and then we'll be in charge. And now it's going to be a crime to have Thanksgiving dinner. The police are going to knock on your door. You got too many people in there. Get rid of Aunt Marie's got to leave. And we're going to arrest her. Going to arrest you for having Thanksgiving dinner.
SWAT is on the way.
That sure sounds like a country everybody would want to live in, don't you think, Arthur?
No, boy, I'll tell you. Yeah, it's adds a whole new dimension to Thanksgiving dinners. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have Thanksgiving dinner down in the bunker because we got to hide from the stormtroopers. The Gestapo's going to come in and get us.
That's right. Yeah, man, you bring the sweet potatoes. Uncle Frank, you bring the guns. You know?
And don't bring any Bibles.
That's right.
Because if they catch us, then we're sure going to be executed.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, okay, so we're gonna start funding again. Let's start sending cash to Iran. That's a good idea. And Kamala Harris wants to fund the Palestinian organizations that are terrorists. Well, okay, and so they're going to destroy Israel because we got to get rid of God. So we better make sure we kill the Jews. Okay, now when they start talking about killing the Jews, I mean, where are we going with this? We've seen this play. You know, I mean, these guys are Nazis. This is the Fourth Reich they want to create. I mean, Jim Mars was right. Fourth Reich is upon us. These guys are socialists, and they want a multinational corporate world where it controls all of us, and they put little chips in us, and if you don't obey, your chip gets activated so that you lose your credit cards, you lose your home, you can't get a job, and don't try to get on an airplane because you're an enemy of the state, right, Arthur?
Absolutely. But I am encouraged, Dr. Corsi, and I got to give kudos to Sidney Powell. I mean, she put it out there. She made it clear. She said she's releasing the Krakens, but she also said this is a new American revolution, and I absolutely agree with her. It's phenomenal.
It is, and though okay. Now I want to show a couple of videos. There was this raid in Germany when we raided and grabbed a hold of the computers, and these evidently are the computers that were used to rig the election. Now, I got a couple of messages yesterday on this, which were really important messages. One was that, in fact, this was a legitimate raid. This was not something that had been, people are saying, okay, well, who raided this? Was it the CIA? Because we now know, and Sidney Powell has made it clear that this Gina Haspel, who runs the CIA, has been in league with the Biden forces. And of course, we knew that because you had John Brennan in the CIA, who was opposed to President Trump and has been for 4 years trying to get the Mueller report advanced to get Donald Trump out of office. These are the same people who did the Mueller report. It didn't work. Talked about Russian collusion. Then they did Ukraine collusion. That didn't work. They locked us all down with COVID. Well, COVID is now back again, and we're getting spikes in COVID. The TeleMD program has never been stronger because people are realizing that they're not going to get hydroxychloroquine under this new regime. They're going to be vaccinated with a vaccine that we don't know what the effects are going to be. Okay, and if you don't take it, you might not get on an airplane, or you might not be allowed to go back to work. Where's your proof of vaccination? We don't care that you have antibodies or that you are don't have COVID. We want to see you vaccinated, right, Craig?
Right, and I'm throwing that up on the screen right now, Dr. Corsi. If you go to CorsiNation.com and if you go into the TeleMD consultation, you can, with one click, be connected into a landing page that enables you then to speak with an MD.com and to get connected with a physician. There's physicians in all 50 states that have the ability, if it's appropriate for your situation, to prescribe for you hydroxychloroquine and zinc. And within a very short period of time, you can be sent that medication through a pharmacy that is also, there's pharmacy in all of the 50 states. So we're offering this, and I have taken you up on it. And I know that Arthur did because he had COVID, he believes, and fought it back with this.
Okay, now I got word yesterday from some of the military that we're working with and trying to make sense of all this, trying to save Donald Trump, and he can save himself. But the point is that this U.S. raid on the voter IT, Internet Technology fraud company, Seidel, in Germany, was evidently, and this is the best confirmation I can get, this is a company that's related to the Dominion, Venezuela, Soros, and the others that we're learning have architected this computer system, this Dominion software, in order to steal elections. And this was a combined Army intelligence Delta Force investigation, grabbing that computer. It was the Delta Force from the 7th Army in Germany were utilized in the raid. And now that we have a new Secretary of Defense, this guy Miller is acting Secretary of Defense. He's a former counterintelligence officer who has close ties with the counterintelligence divisions around the world, who are now, I think, going to be able to really try to save the republic. I think we've got a lot of loyal military who do not want to see the government go communist. And Kash Patel is in there now. He's been extremely knowledgeable with the weaponization of intel and how you have all of this intel weaponized to take down Trump. The mainstream media constantly saying Biden is president-elect. There is no such office. Biden and Harris have already started implementing their programs. Donald Trump, by not just conceding and allowing the transition to go forward, is actually causing people to die because of COVID. All these are psychological themes that are engineered to make us give up. And so essentially what is being said and the intelligence behind the scene is that this is one of the first steps, and that Sidney Powell has telegraphed it, that the CIA is very, very involved in stealing elections. In Israel does not allow computers to be used in counting ballots. Why? Because the CIA controls the election systems. And the CIA with the election systems will flip the election against Netanyahu and will flip it so that Israel is destroyed. The CIA has become, as I've said for years, an evil force, and they're working for darkness. They want to destroy everything except this new world order that George H.W. Bush, who was CIA back to the Kennedy assassination, I am convinced. And you basically have been architecting for a new world order that is military, Nazi military, Nazi, the multinational corporations working around the world. So we'll put Krupp together with a U.S. Steel, and we'll build munitions for Germany to go to war. And it'll be funded by Wall Street with Prescott Bush working with the Harriman brothers and the Dulles family in order to raise money for Hitler, which they did in the 30s. Okay, so that's all re-architected. And yet there are some patriots around. Sidney Powell, I think, is one of the best and one of the toughest, one of the smartest. And what she's doing is she's working now, I believe, with the military elements that are under the control of Donald Trump. And even Milley, the Joint Chiefs, I think he should be fired too. And I don't know why Trump isn't firing some of these people, but he has his reasons. At any rate, we're seeing here from what's being shown on One American News yesterday was Louis Gohmert, who I've met and know very well from Texas, a congressman. It was on, and they were reporting about this computer that's been stolen. So, Craig, if you have that, can you play that? I'll mute my side here so people can hear it. Are you ready?
Second to bring up.
Okay.
Yep. Here we go.
Okay, I'll mute my side here.
Look at my browser for some reason decided to refresh. Give me a second here. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
U.S. Army forces went into Seidel and grabbed their server. There's some that believe this is the U.S. intelligence that manipulated all this.
New reports claim the real results of the 2020 U.S. election were found on a computer server that was seized by the U.S. military in Frankfurt, Germany. In a recent tweet, a Virginia congressional candidate shared an electoral map that's allegedly based off of this data from that server. It shows a landslide victory for President Trump with a 410 electoral college vote, including liberal strongholds California and Minnesota. Congressman Louis Gohmert, you just heard from him there. He says the real election results were stolen through vulnerabilities in the Dominion voting system.
Extremely compelling evidence that could be gleaned from Seidel, that's SCYTL. That's a company headquartered in Barcelona, Spain, that was responsible for aggregating all the information from all the machines and whatnot. but now the main headquarters had moved to Frankfurt. That information as to how many votes were switched from Republican for Democrat would have been easily established from the information that Seidel gathered.
Reports say the data gathered by the U.S. military in Frankfurt provides enough evidence to overturn the election and expose the voter fraud committed by the Democrat Party.
So, Dr. Corsi, if it turns out that what Representative Gohmert is saying, there's the Kraken right there.
It's beginning. These are the releases of information that are going to be absolutely earth-shaking, because you'll have here an understanding that what has been being said right now by Sidney Powell is as deep as it is, because she is saying fundamentally that we right now.
Are you paying too much for your health insurance? Are your deductibles too high? Or are you completely uninsured? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Healthcare Help Desk can help you now when people need help the most. Health insurance laws and rules have changed. If you have Obamacare, are uninsured, or your premiums are too high, call Healthcare Help Desk. It's free. New healthcare plans are available, and you may qualify for dental coverage and lower copays and deductibles. Make the free call now. Top quality coverage at the lowest prices anywhere. You may be paying too much and not even know it. In these troubled times, healthcare is more important than ever. Don't let another day go by without health insurance. Policies are being offered with very low copays and deductibles. So if you're uninsured, underinsured, or paying too much, call Healthcare Help Desk. Learn about your options before it's too late.
Call 800-964-1055. 800-964-1055.
Attention Medicare recipients and anyone turning 65. Medicare has approved new benefits not included with original Medicare and older Medicare Advantage plans. You may not be getting all of the benefits you're entitled to. These new Medicare Advantage plans may have many free new benefits, including in-home aids, telephone appointments with your doctors, home-delivered meals and prescriptions. These benefits may be available, and it's a free call to enroll. The easiest way to enroll is to call the Medicare Benefits Line, a free non-government service. The new plans may also offer free eyeglasses, free hearing aids, free wellness visits, and gym memberships. Call the Medicare Benefits Line now. It's easy. Find out if you're eligible for new benefits like meal and prescription delivery, in-home aids, and telemedicine. Some plans may have a $0 monthly premium or zero copays for big out-of-pocket savings.
Call 800-691-1655. 800-691-1655.
Medicare Benefits Line is not connected with or endorsed by any government agency or the federal Medicare program.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions Now.
Call 800-447-7570. 800-447-7570.
Now have a CIA that is completely out of control. And I'm going to play a couple minutes of Sidney Powell right now, but let me give you what she is saying. And here we're going to put that into our teams here too. This is critical because the psychological warfare going on right now, there is the article with Sidney Powell. The psychological warfare going on right now is such to say, give up, just concede, obey. This will be over soon. You will be able to go back to normal. Just get rid of Trump. It's not true. We'll be in a nuclear war within the first year of a Biden, Kamala Harris. They actually want a nuclear war. I mean, it's hard to imagine, and people are going to say I'm crazy for saying this, but the idea of funding Iran. Donald Trump has got now the Middle East. He's got United Arab Emirates. He's got Bahrain. He's got Sudan. He's ready to get the entire Middle East saying we'll live with Israel, which is a huge move for peace. It's 1,000 years of peace if that could happen. It is literally the lambs and the lions lying down together, and he can achieve it. And that's why the dark side is so desperate here to beat him, and that's why we must stay strong and continue this fight. Now, what this article is going to show here is that Sidney Powell, when she was with Mark Stein yesterday on Rush Limbaugh's radio show, and Rush, of course, we're praying for him because he is suffering from cancer and it may be fatal. She says that Sidney Powell is saying she had a firsthand witness, and she has just emailed an affidavit from a witness. I guess she's shown it to Mark Stein. I think she'll show it to Tucker Carlson today, who can be used publicly. It's been redacted in some places, but saying that this Dominion system was created to falsify the election results for Hugo Chavez and then for Maduro to keep communism in Venezuela. Then they exported this system all over Latin America. It's the Smartmatic and Dominion systems. They were built to change the results of elections. And basically, this is what President Trump is fighting. I do think that Donald Trump's electoral count would have been at least 360 electoral votes that have been counted legitimately. And these results are beginning to show the same thing. Craig, do you have that up there? I sent it to you earlier, and I just sent it to you now.
I've had it up the whole time you've been talking about it, and I've got that paragraph that's underneath the video that goes through the information that you just described. And so if you want the video, it's ready to go anytime.
Let's play the first 2 minutes of it, and then we'll come back and comment on it. We'll see if we want to play some more. Want to do that?
Yep, here it goes.
Mark Stein in for Rush on America's number one radio show. You may have read stories in the media over the weekend about the pressure that Trump lawyers are coming under to bail from the case and abandon their client. One lawyer we can say certainly who is not going to do that is Sidney Powell. She was last on with me as a tireless champion of her client, Michael Flynn. She's now a tireless champion of her new client, Donald J. Trump, in some of these post-election legal battles. And Sidney, you've become very concerned about this Canadian company, Dominion Voting Systems. As I said on this show last week, it's illegal for a Canadian to give a C note to a presidential candidate, but apparently it's not in the least bit illegal for a Canadian company to end up running American elections in 33 states. What's the problem for you with this Dominion Voting Systems?
Well, there are so many problems, Mark. It would be hard to articulate all of them. Their system was specifically created and designed by Venezuelan money and interest to rig elections for Hugo Chavez and then for Maduro. It was exported internationally, understand, to rig an election in Argentina. And it has been used to rig this election to make it appear the votes were for Mr. Biden when Donald Trump won overwhelmingly. And I'm in the process of collecting evidence through a fire hose to the point it feels like a tsunami now. Right. Of honest, patriotic people, American citizens who are coming forward to tell us exactly what was going on. And I just got word today that 100 Dominion employees have even taken any affiliation with Dominion off their LinkedIn accounts.
Wow. And so you've actually, Dr. Corsi, you've got Dominion employees eliminating their connections to the company. Gee, do you think they see something coming their way? Again,
you got to realize that the storm, when it comes on you, looks terrible. It is horrible. It's horrifying, especially if you've ever been in a tornado. And they cause massive damage. But they are survivable. Take precautions and know what you're dealing with, and they pass. And when they're passed, if you do survive, you can rebuild, which we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to pray and repent for how much evil we've allowed come into the country. But Sidney Powell sounds to me calm, sounds resolute, and she sounds like, her 6 shooters are loaded and she's ready to go. What do you think, Arthur?
Absolutely. She's definitely gunning for it. She is, if you take a look at any of Sidney Powell's even history with General Flynn and what she did with that, she's going to be a digger. She knows this. And for her to say that she's getting so much evidence coming back as a tsunami, I think this is just an absolute, nod to God in the fact that we have been praying for the exposure of these elements to happen and for people to stand tall. Your spiritual work is definitely helping here. And this is phenomenal. She's got it going.
She's got it going. And look, I also want to make it clear, We could play just a minute, maybe more, maybe 2 minutes more of this, Craig, because she really gets into it. Let's do that. Let's play 2 more minutes of what she says, okay?
Here we go.
And Dominion scrubbing names of people like crazy.
Right. And it started, it only came out because I think a county clerk happened to notice that 6,000 Trump votes had been transferred to Joe Biden, I believe in Michigan. Presumably less alert. It
also came out because some of my math experts, who I know very well, immediately identified the algorithm that was being run to change the vote.
Right.
So that any number of batches of votes were changed by the machine, which by its own manual, it tells people it can do that. It was changed to run 67% for Biden, and votes were injected in that number by the hundreds of thousands multiple times. The exact same number and ratio were injected like 3 times in Wisconsin and twice in Michigan, or vice versa, a couple of 20 minutes apart or something. It's absurd. And for people to say there's no evidence of fraud, or the people that want to cover up the fraud for whatever their personal interests are, we also have some evidence coming in that people who bought these Dominion systems for their states got special benefits on the side.
Right.
And I mean, the level and width of the corruption is what the American people have felt for a long time, but we're just now getting people to come forward because it's so bad, and they've realized that I'm here and I will fight for it until we get it out there.
Yeah, and so what people needed, the whistleblowers needed the comfort that if they came forward, someone was going to listen to them, believe them, and not attack them. And they've gotten that comfort through from the presence of Sidney Powell in the process. And here they come. Katie barred the door. Here come the eyewitnesses and the whistleblowers.
Well, they also realize they're going to go to prison if they don't come forward first. And all these people, you don't think they were texting each other and saying, we need more ballots, we have to do this, and watch me punk them, I'm a hero, I'm ripping up Trump ballots left and right, let me show you how I'm doing it. And all that evidence is available. Arthur?
Yes, and what I'm seeing here with the systems, and specifically with the systems, the algorithm that Sydney is referring to basically just does the analysis on the balance of the votes between Biden and Trump. And because of the difference in the statistics between so many people appearing at the polls, at the point of the putting their ballots in person versus what the machine could do quietly behind the scenes is so different and so substantial that any of these shifts or changes that this algorithm is doing becomes absolutely evident right up front.
That and the mail-in ballots being produced for just written in batches and entered into the system. Each of these states was a little bit different. I don't think the Dominion system was at work in Arizona, for instance. I think you'll find that in the absentee ballot system, where they, were not rejecting any of them, and they had 10 times the number that was normal. Each of these states was architected a little bit differently, and they want to be able to say, well, for instance, Georgia, they'll say there was no vote switching, so it's all a hoax. Well, they created Georgia not to have the vote switching in order to produce it as the hoax state. And then they found 1,200 of votes for Trump, I think, on a thumb drive that just hadn't been counted. Okay, now I want you to go to this article from Gatestone, the Gatestone Institute. It's written by Soren Kern, who a very good analyst. I've followed him over the years. Craig, do you have it there? I put it up for you so you could receive it, okay?
It's on the screen right now.
Okay, what he's saying is that the reports are pouring into this massive fraud, and the lawyers for Trump have filed more than 20 legal challenges. We're going to be filing more legal challenges, and Barr has authorized federal prosecutors to probe irregularities. Whether that'll result in anything, I don't know. And what you have is growing evidence that this Dominion system, which was used in 2,000 jurisdictions in 30 states, which has denied the allegations. Lou Dobbs is saying, I can hardly wait to put forth all the evidence. This is what again, Sidney Powell is saying, I can hardly wait to put forward all the evidence we have collected of Dominion, starting with the fact it was created to produce altered voting results in Venezuela for Hugo Chavez, shifted to other countries. It was funded in part by Cuba and China, and Venezuela's had a role in it. We have staggering evidence. We have staggering testimony from witnesses, including one who was personally involved in briefings when all of this was discussed and planned, beginning with Hugo Chavez. So as soon as the states shut down on election night and stopped counting, those were the states where the most egregious problems occurred. And so we need to look at, we're beginning to collect evidence also from the financial interests of the governors, the secretaries of states who actually bought into the Dominion systems. And all of this is getting together for an overwhelming case that is, in fact, that fraud was created. Now, when I'm seeing more and more of this, if you take a look at sites like the Citizen Free Press, citizenfreepress.com, Just the News. Just the News is reporting, this John Solomon, that Trump's legal team is focusing on the exclusion of observers from the election results, data irregularities, which are massive. You find that if we go to other aggregators, Citizen Free Press, which is showing that basically, when Georgia gave a $107 million voting machine contract to Dominion, and who got paid on that contract? Okay, now, all of this is orchestrated together with, again, the vaccine is back. Now I don't have a clue whether the vaccine is going to work or not. I suspect it won't. And Fauci's saying even after the vaccine, you still need to wear masks. We're still going to engineer shutdowns. We're going to close down the society. Nobody's going to work. And Biden wants to have a $15 minimum wage installed across the country and the labor unions to have more power. Now, since the 80s, labor unions have been losing workers because labor unions have become another grifter game, another racket. And workers are tired of having their money taken from their paychecks to support Democratic candidates. You also find that states like California, which has the most poverty, the most unemployment always, has also the $15 minimum wage and all these other leftist ideas to architect society. So everybody thinks let's let Biden in. This is going to be much worse than the dark days of Obama, in that they will impose socialism on the country, and they'll do it fast. They'll try to get these two elections in Georgia to flip the Senate. Once they control the Senate and they control the House and they control the presidency, all fraudulently, we have no freedom left. Okay, now that's the dark side of what they intend to do. Now, to get encouraged on the light side, realize that what Sidney Powell is up to is getting enough evidence where the reality of the voting fraud is apparent, where it can be proved in court, where these cases can be litigated, state court and federal court. Now, it's going to take time, and the Democrats want to play this out with court challenges, slow it down, because they want on December 14th for the Electoral College to go forward with the Biden electors. They've got over 300 electors now for Biden in all these rigged states, and they're trying to jam this down our throats and saying there's nothing you can do about it. Now, I don't think that's going to work. All the odds are to bet in that way. All the odds are to bet in that way. But they don't take into account God. And in the final analysis, I think we've already seen some divine intervention, and that we do have now Amy Coney Barrett on the court. And I want to give you some of the problems going on with the court too. But the point is this. We are having this put on the screen, if you will, Craig, this the Jericho March project, where we're getting patriots out around the state legislatures to march around the buildings every day between now and when the Electoral College meets. And we're going to have this be in the streets so that people see, as you did in Washington over the weekend, 1 million people pouring in. Mainstream media won't report it, but nobody's watching the mainstream media anymore. If that map with all that red is really the electoral map of the United States, this is only being believed in a narrow strip in California by the ocean, in New York, and a few other elite Democratic cities. Otherwise, the rest of the country is onto the scheme. And we, the people, onto the scheme, as that quote I have in that article from George Washington, the darkest days of the Revolutionary War. And he is looking around, and the people are out.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
In this little town he comes through, having a very disappointing meeting with the French, who are there to help us but want to do it their way. They want to control the American Revolution. And George Washington is not about, he's realizing he's not going to get help from the French, not now. And coming back from that meeting in Hartford, Connecticut, he comes through this little town and the people come out. And they're praising him like they said, "We love you, Donald Trump. We love Donald Trump." They're saying the same thing to George Washington. And Washington's pointing out to this Count de Damas, that was there, the French guy who brought him to the meeting with the French general. And Washington's saying, we might lose in war. I can't tell you we'll win a war. The British are a lot stronger than we are. They have better organization. They got more money. They're like the Democrats. They're funded. Got more money. But Washington said, no one will be able to break this because these are the people. And if they don't want this, he was overwhelmed. And what he precisely said, I have to go to the page to get that out, but he precisely said, basically, if with these people, we can't lose. With this, we're going to win. That's basically what he said. He was greatly cheered by seeing that he had the people with him. In the hearts of every human being, put there by God, is an urge for freedom. The Jews going into the concentration camps understood that this was a great sin against God and against humanity. And it's always been amazing to me that some of them going in even to the ovens and to the final point where they were going to be gassed to death by this Nazi 1. I guess we're Nazi 2.0. That's what the Democrats are. Some of them still believed in God. They knew this was evil. They knew they couldn't stop it. They knew they were going to die in the next 10 minutes. A horrible death, gassed to death. naked, packed in with a lot of other people. And no one was coming to help them. And yet they believed in God because they, in their hearts, had a sense of God. God was there. He had not abandoned them, and they didn't abandon God. Now, I toured Auschwitz twice and came to this last room where it's discussed how going to their deaths, they continued to pray and accepted their fate as in God's will. Arthur, what do you have to say about that?
What's interesting about this is that the cycles of God's plans can take lifetimes. It can go for many, many periods of time. And people that have God in their heart know that their connection to God is going to get them through this, whatever is God's plan in the long run. And you have to understand that it's not just a one-shot deal. You do have to hold that consciousness, because as far as God is concerned, several lifetime events that can occur are just like a blink of an eye. So what happened in Nazi Germany was then the precursor to what we're actually seeing now with the CIA and the creation of all these events, as Dr. Corsi has been showing these with historical events. And so what God is doing is unraveling this. These people with that prayer in their hearts know full well that they're still going to be supported. They will be taken care of in the outpicturing of God's plan. Those are special warriors and special patriots.
And, you know, we all look at life here as permanent, very temporary. There is nothing you can do on earth to live forever. There's nothing you can do on earth to survive the experience. We're all going to die. And so everyone working for this new world order, for this wonderful utopia on earth, they're all going to die. I remember this when I was a child. I was raised, and my father was Italian. My grandparents came from Italy. They lived in Cleveland. It was one Sunday, and this was pretty much of a typical Sunday for me when I was a kid. We would always go over to my grandparents' house, and my dad was no great joy doing it. And they'd get over there, and they'd have in the kitchen, you know, after church, they would have the wine and the salami and the pepperoni and the cheese and the bread, and they would all be in the kitchen having some of that and talking. And this one Sunday, they were complaining about the family and all these issues. I had my youngest uncle, my father, they had 5 children, this couple did, and my father was the oldest, and this Uncle Larry was the youngest. They were arguing. They didn't like the woman he was going to marry. They were all trying to architect the breakup of this couple. And that discussion went on all afternoon. I'm sitting there. I don't even remember how old I was, but not very old. And I'm thinking to myself, why are they doing this? And I realize in that moment, I see it today, looking back at it, I realize these people are all going to be dead. Today, they are all dead. And everything they were arguing about, everything they were so intensely trying to architect, who cares? Nobody even remembers that it happened except for me. And when I'm gone, who will remember even that they existed? 2 generations, grandchildren will have a hard time remembering. You know, people can maybe know their grandparents. Does anybody know their great-grandparents? How about 3? How about their great-great-great-grandparents? Most people have no idea who they were. Well, that's only going back about 100 or 125, 150 years. Go back 1,000 years, nobody knows who their grandparents were. And all the things they worried about then were gone. So people who think this is permanent and they can create utopia on earth are deluded to begin with. Now, I want you to go to this article here, Craig. This is from the No Q. I've always kind of liked this guy, No Q, because he perceives, as I do, the Q is a psyop, you know, trust everybody, trust Durham. Durham's doing nothing. You know, he's hiding in a shadow waiting for the Biden administration. I got news for him. There's not going to be a Biden administration. I don't really see it happening. I didn't see myself going to prison with Mueller. I don't see there being a Biden administration. Okay, now what he is saying, this article here, Craig, do you have it up?
I do.
He's saying it's like, you know, Texas Hold'em, that when you win ugly, you know, like, you don't have a good hand, but you decide to go all in and you still win. And it shouldn't have happened. You know, losing ugly is you do all that, you lose, and you shouldn't have done it. He's saying, you know, look at this case. Go down to where the bullet points are. You know, people went to the polls and they were told they'd already voted, but they hadn't cast ballots. People are listed in voting in a state where they did not cast ballots. People witnessed fraudulent or improper vote counting activities as observers or election officials, or they didn't even get in the room to observe because they were thrown out. Extreme statistical anomalies were uncovered in a handful of battleground states' votes totals, which is prima facie evidence of fraudulent or untoward vote collection and counting activities. And basically, last year, the North Carolina threw out an entire special congressional election in its 9th district after evidence emerged that mail-in ballots were tainted by a ballot harvesting scheme. That one was tied to a GOP operative. New Jersey, a state judge ordered the municipal election in Paterson, New Jersey. He invalidated it after evidence of ballot fraud emerged. And the strategy is not to flip contested states from Biden to Trump. It's designed to invalidate enough votes to prevent electors from being selected, thus keeping Biden below the 270 electoral college threshold. In other words, that sounds ugly. In other words, if enough states can't validate votes because there's still legal challenges going on, they haven't been all dismissed, the electoral college can't vote electoral votes for an election that hasn't been certified. And Sidney Powell is going to make sure that she gets her day in court, showing America all the voter fraud and preventing this from being certified. That's going to be the final strategy, because they've already got the electors talked to in these state legislatures of the ones, the key states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, and the electors who are Republican are saying, well, we're just going to put the Biden slate in. We don't want to, we don't want to have anybody be angry at us. Yeah, well, when these people get out with the Jericho March and start surrounding the legislatures, let's get out and support this Jericho March. I'll be having more specific instructions on how to do that as we get this put together. But if the state challenges continue, if we see these contests being contested here like this, if we realize that Netanyahu can affirm that the reason Israel doesn't use computers to count votes is because the CIA will flip their election. The CIA is rogue and Haspel's a criminal, a traitor. Well, Donald Trump's gotten control, more or less, of the army by getting rid of Esper. And now we're going to start seeing the Kraken being released, because the strategy is to make sure there's enough litigation. And by now, people are saying, well, when's Sidney Powell when are these challenges going to be? They're being written right now. The cases are being formed. People said yesterday, everybody was panicking yesterday. I got emails. Why are they removing the lawsuit in Georgia that is challenging that the observers weren't allowed into observe the election? So we got hard evidence of that. Got videotape. Got testimony on affidavits. And so I had to find out. Well, what I found out was that these had been filed. Some of these suits have been filed by True the Vote. And I know the people who organized that, and they're very, very good. Patriots. I think Kathleen Engelberg was one of the ones who just great people. I don't know if I have that name right, Craig. You might check it out while we're talking here. But the point is that I found out that they had those lawsuits withdrawn because Sidney Powell's got a superseding lawsuit that she's going to file, which states the case even stronger. There were some mistakes made in the early filing by True the Vote because we didn't know then what we know now. So an even stronger case is going to be filed. Now, a lot of these Democratic judges, just like Judge Sullivan, aren't going to hear the cases, and I'm going to try to throw them out. And I'm going to talk about the Supreme Court here in a minute. But I'm saying that we're not done yet, because the Constitution, our founding fathers built in certain safeguards. Our founding fathers knew this could happen. They knew the country could be stolen by a bunch of criminals who would, in the open, rig elections and say, you can't stop us. Architect the media. They didn't even have any idea of the media. When I was at Harvard, our founding fathers had no idea what these criminal, corporate, global, Davos, we're going to re-engineer everybody and put a chip in you. So if you don't have a vaccine, you're not going to be able to fly on an airplane or get a job or go to church. You won't be able to go to church anyway, because the first thing they do is shut down God. We don't want people having a higher authority than us. We're the state. We're the highest authority. You think Hitler wanted God? He didn't want anybody above him. He wanted to be God. Satan wants to be God. Arthur?
Yeah, interesting you brought up Hitler. Hitler was, and if anybody has ever seen any of the Indiana Jones movies, especially the first one, he dived into the black arts. And basically Hitler was very close to psychic phenomena. He believed that those who held the Grail or those who held the spear would control. And to some extent that would be because he was into the dark forces and into those dark powers. And so this is exactly what's going on here. The dark forces know how to orchestrate things over many of our lives, okay, our generations. You got 1 generation, 2 generation, 3 generations, like Dr. Corsi's talking about, where we don't know this, but the forces of darkness do know this, and they've been orchestrating this slide to get to this point. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing these forces tying into those dark forces through, as Hitler did, these kind of rituals. His were black magic and psychic, and we're seeing that with the satanic rituals. We're also seeing this with the Luciferian rituals, and this is where abortion plays into this, because this is basically, at a bottom line, reframed child sacrifice. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing the use of these forces, and it's up to us to align ourselves with the God forces to counteract what's going on behind the scenes. All we see right here is the outpicturing of these forces of darkness working through people that have aligned themselves to this. Dr. Corsi?
Yes, that's right. The founder of True the Vote is Catherine Engelbrecht, and I want to get her name correct. I've met her. I've talked to her. She's a great patriot, and I'm sure she was happy to have her lawsuits in Georgia and other states. I think there were 4 withdrawn because Sidney Powell and the legal team have a better strategy. I want to assure everybody that this is a top legal team, and that Donald Trump made some decisions to get Giuliani and Sidney Powell in charge, because there were some lawyers on president's team working against the president. And Kushner was leaking to Fox in order to think, well, I'm not sure Donald Trump's really fit for another term. That's what Kushner was saying. Okay? And President Trump's been told that. I think he sees it. Now, even the Supreme Court, let me tell you what's going on in the Supreme Court, because there's great concern to whether or not the Supreme Court can be trusted. You've got Alito. Alito is clearly on Trump's side. He's already segregated the votes out, or told them to segregate the votes that came in after the last 3 days, because, see, the state governor in Pennsylvania, the state Board of Elections, the state Supreme Court all said we can extend the election if we want to, but the state legislature didn't change the rules. And according to the Constitution, Article 2, and also the 12th Amendment has to be taken into consideration, but Article 2 is very clear that only the state legislature can set the rules for a presidential election, and Alito knows that these votes are going to have to be thrown away, which will turn Pennsylvania to Trump. But remember, the aim is not to turn Pennsylvania from Trump. The goal now is to expose the criminal fraud that is treason, trying to destroy the United States of America. That includes the Democratic Party at its core, includes the Davos crowd at its core. It includes Antifa, Black Lives Matter, who are
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it
It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Maoist organizations. It includes Communist China. It includes Biden and Obama being owned by China, the Biden family and Hunter Biden. There's a lot of corruption here. Okay.
The media and Hollywood.
Media, Hollywood. These are criminal. It's not that Jack Dorsey has a right to control his site. He's committing treason by suppressing the Hunter Biden story in order to boost the Biden vote. That's treason now because he's participating in a criminal plot to subvert the Constitution. Okay, now, Clarence Thomas, I'm sure, is dying to get this case because Biden in 1991 was he was the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee when they brought that Anita Hill sex trash to try to make sure that Clarence Thomas, black judge, didn't get on the court because he believed in Jesus Christ and was a conservative. Biden failed, and Biden will fail here too. It isn't Biden. Biden doesn't know what he's doing. Biden's increasingly into dementia. It's Obama and Kamala Harris. She was always Obama's pick to be president. And Gorsuch, they'll take the case. And Sotomayor and Kagan and Roberts won't take the case. Roberts is compromised. I'm told increasingly that Roberts shows up in the Epstein, and they have enough evidence on John Roberts to convict him of pedophilia, sexual misconduct. I don't know if that's true. There's a lot of rumors, people saying it's his adopted children. I don't know if that's true. I wanted to make that clear. I'm not advancing those arguments as if I know they're true. I don't. But there's something bizarre going on because John Roberts, since his decision on saying Obamacare was constitutional, has gone with the left. So don't count on Judge Roberts. I think he'll get some stern talking to. I don't know if it'll make a difference. Kavanaugh basically there's a lot of internal discussion going on among the justices about whether the Supreme Court should take this case, because what they're concerned about is that a decision of the Supreme Court in Trump's favor is going to cause a civil war to break out because Antifa and all these are going to go insane in the streets and they're going to start killing people. We know that's coming. And the Supreme Court saying maybe it'd be better if we, decided in favor of Biden. That's actually being discussed. And Amy Coney Barrett evidently wants to hide under a desk. She said, I just got here. I got out of the decision on Pennsylvania before the election. This is really too much for me to handle. I'm too new here. So she's scared. And Kavanaugh is evidently talking with his wife and family. It's getting out that he's basically saying that he is not really, he's kind of a weak link. Maybe a weakest link saying, I don't know what we should do here. I don't really want to get behind Trump because this decision of the Supreme Court that blocks Biden might undermine the legitimacy of the Supreme Court. Are you kidding me? Supreme Court goes with Biden and ignores all this fraud. We don't have a Supreme Court anymore. They won't need to pack it. They'll already own it. Okay, so they're also saying, well, maybe this federal case of fraud needs to be litigated in the district courts before we can bring it to the Supreme Court on constitutional grounds. Okay, now, a lot of people would like Dershowitz to handle the case for Trump, saying he could really make the arguments. Not just because he's a Democrat, but because I think Dershowitz showed himself in the Ukraine impeachment trial that he was willing to side with the Constitution and say, this isn't right. There's no case here against Donald Trump. Well, can you imagine the abuse that Dershowitz took for that? I mean, but in my heart, I think there's one card that's playing here that people just don't appreciate. And that is, I would believe that Dershowitz, who I met Dershowitz, the only time I've seen Dershowitz in person, I was in Jerusalem staying at the King David Hotel, and Dershowitz was there. And I, one evening, went outside the hotel to get some air and take a little walk, and Dershowitz was out there doing the same thing. I introduced myself to him. I said, we're both on, I said, I'm sure you know who I am. I co-authored the Swiftboat book against John Kerry. I said, I know we're on opposite sides of the fence, and I went to Harvard and probably know that I did my dissertation on a law topic. But the point is, I said to him, we're on opposite sides of the political spectrum. I said, but I got to tell you, Professor Dershowitz, there's two things I respect about you. One, your undying love for Israel, which I share. I'm not a Jew, but I share it as a Christian, believer in Jesus Christ. Guess Jesus Christ favored the Jews. He was one. And I said, your second is your devotion to the Constitution. So I said, every time I've heard you, Professor Dershowitz, and I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to law school. I'm a political scientist who studied constitutional law, wrote a book on constitutional law, wrote a book on judicial politics. Said, Alan Dershowitz, you're honest. You understand the Constitution. And despite what the Democrats want to do, you stand up for the Constitution. That's what I said to him that day. And people understand that if Dershowitz would come forward again and defend President Trump, the odds of Donald Trump getting reelected would go like from 1 out of 3 to even. I think they'd go more than even. I think they're already more than even. But we're having to go through a very crafted strategy. And the strategy is coming down to having the Supreme Court justices realize that if the states can't certify the election, Donald Trump and his lawyers and Sidney Powell are going to get more time than December 14th, which is when the Electoral College meets, in order to know that Biden's got 270 electoral votes. Because there's going to be some states where there are legal challenges still going on in the courts, that state can't be certified. If the votes in the states can't be certified, even one state, we can't really have a president elected by the Electoral College. It'll have to go to Congress. And in Congress, we hold the majority. Now, Nancy Pelosi will still try all kinds of tricks. Well, I'm not going to allow the new Congress to seat, because even in the new Congress, we control the number of delegations. The GOP does. I think it'll go from 29 that we currently control of the 50 to closer to 33, maybe 32, because of the number of Democrats that did get elected in the House. They didn't increase their majority in the House. In the Senate, we might lose the 2 seats in Georgia, which would be 50-50. And I guess Pence could cast the deciding vote for himself, because the House will choose the president and the Senate will choose the vice president. Senate is not by delegations because there's 2 for each state. And it would be by majority of the senators present and voting. So they'll try to, we're not going to give you a quorum. The Constitution calls for a quorum for the vote. We're just not going to show up. So you won't be able to have, well, I mean, you can't put Joe Biden in if the Electoral College doesn't vote or the Congress doesn't vote. And if this goes beyond January 20th, Donald Trump has not been replaced. Okay, so we're in a constitutional crisis. And the realization is where I think it should be. Let's prove to the American people that this was massive fraud. We know it was massive fraud. We can document it. And the people who committed it have committed crimes. And if we have to, we'll gut the Justice Department in order to get a lawyer there with the courage to bring the charges. Craig, what do you think?
Well, it's an amazing point in American history. Never has this combination of issues come to the fore before, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I, for one, am continuing to believe that God is in charge, and His plan is what's going to happen. Our plans are subservient to that, and I will continue to fear not and stay strong. And just they say trust the plan. Well, I trust the Lord's plan, Dr. Corsi.
So when you go to the gulag, you'll want your pocket Bible there as your last possession on earth, right?
Yeah, I've got my go bag, and in the outer pocket of the go bag is my pocket Bible. I'm ready to go.
Arthur?
I believe, in some ways, even though it's not crafted as such, it's almost like this whole entire legal movement from Rudy Giuliani and what's happening here with the pulling together of all these different components. It's almost like it's a class action suit for our freedoms, and that needs to be put before it. I mean, Sidney Powell, and they're crafting all this together to make sure that it's very obvious that all of our freedoms are at stake here. And I think what we're seeing, I mean, if we take a look, this is a test of our Constitution. I absolutely agree with you, Dr. Corsi, because we, the people of the United States, as it states right there in the preamble to that Constitution, have to fight for our freedoms. And that freedom is elections. That freedom is our right to vote. That is our freedoms for here. And if they pull these components together in such a way that it's obvious that that entire process has been abused in this last election, I agree with you. I think that's our best shot.
Well, we crafted a prayer, petition to the throne of God, that this evil would be exposed. And God answered our prayer. Evil is right out there for everybody to take a look at. And millions of Americans have taken a look at it, and they know what they see. And they're ready to get out in the streets around the state legislatures. They're ready to get on these Jericho marches. They're ready to blow the trumpet. They're ready to do what's needed to save America. And I always recall, and Craig always ends by saying, fear not. And in the Bible, whenever God, in even the Old Testament, God sends an angel or gives a prophetic warning or wants to address the people, the first thing that's said is, fear not. Now, when I used to read those passages, even as a kid, I thought, boy, somebody comes telling me, fear not. That's the first thing they say. What's going to follow is going to have to be pretty bad because I'm being told not to be afraid. And whoever's giving me this message knows that that's the logical reaction to what I'm about to hear. So I'm about to have to hear this and not feel afraid. And I say, okay, now how's that possible? And I go back thinking, well, I'm not going to be here forever. That the only thing that really matters is when I die, I'm going to say to God, was I a faithful servant? Did I do your will? Did I do what you wanted me to do? Because it's not my will. Lord's Prayer is, thy will be done on heaven as it is on earth as it is in heaven. On earth as it is in heaven. Thy will be done. That's our only prayer. That's our only purpose of life. And so, in face of all these odds, I still feel we're winning. Because even if we lose here on earth, we don't lose in the court of heaven. And the only thing that's going to ultimately matter when everybody listening to this broadcast is dead, and we're history, if there is history, if we don't have a nuclear holocaust as God's reward for not following his laws, God says, I'm done with the species. If we don't get to that point, we won't get to that point as a lot of people get down on their knees and pray and ask God's forgiveness and repent. Get God back into their lives. Get God back into this country. Quit killing babies. Quit killing fetuses. Quit having bizarre weirdos running around that we're supposed to accept as normal. Quit having Satan being put on the throne of God and worshiped by Silicon Valley. The only thing that's going to matter on all of this, and why we should not fear, is that ultimately we're going to face God, and God's going to say, were you a faithful servant or not? And the consequences of that moment, which will not exist in time, are that's it. That's everything. That's your eternal state with God. You go join the Legion of Hell and be a demon for the rest of eternity, be a cast out soul. And I don't believe in any of this. This is all just religious superstition. Okay, fine. Go ahead. I can't make you believe in it. When you die, ask yourself, why is it that I have to die? Oh, well, I'm Bill Gates. I'm an architect. I'll live forever. I'll freeze my body. I'll come back. I'm going to live forever. Yeah, well, Bill, I'm sorry. Doesn't matter how many billions you've got. You're not living forever. Not going to happen. You will die. Not because I said so. Not because I will it. Because God so willed it. That we all die. And we all face God. And we all face eternity. We've run a little bit over time. I want to say, let us not be afraid. Let us go into this battle knowing we can win. Let us rally around God and support God's purpose. The United States will not be ended by a group of demons worshiping the devil who crafted to steal an election. As long as I'm alive, I'll continue to resist that with my last breath, and we will win. Craig, any last thoughts?
I'm with you, Chief, and we need to not only stay strong through all of this, but also try to stay calm. And that's the other part of this, is too many people are allowing it to put them into a mental state that you don't want to end up with a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so you've got to continue to the end and not quit right when you see the finish line.
Well, it's a matter of what my wife said to me one time. She'd rather visit me the rest of my life in prison than not have me be the man she married. She realized that what this is about making you take a knee to Satan. I'm not going to do that. I don't care what the consequences are. They put me in prison in solitary confinement the rest of my life. I can still pray to God all day long in my mind. And in the final analysis, when you see it through the eyes I see it, the only choice is God. Arthur?
Absolutely agree with you and Craig. And what we need to see here is what we're fighting for is not just for us. It's for our children, and it's for our grandchildren, and it's for the generations that go beyond. And so now it's time to infuse yourself with that spirit. And, as God always says, he is there and will always be there. And one with God is a majority. And so if you stay in alignment with that, you get yourself in alignment with that, we can call on the Lord. And trust me, up on the Prayerful Patriot, there is a prayer out there for the Supreme Court. Each one of those judges need to be overshadowed. And I know from firsthand experience that each one of these judges are under attack from the forces of darkness, and they need our prayers for protection so that they can tune into the higher emanations of God and do what is right for God's will. It really is up to us to fight this battle. Now's the time to choose that side of light with God. This is our kind of revolution now in this new consciousness of aligning ourselves with God's will. Dr. Corsi?
The reality here is a tough one for everybody to bear and to hear. But we are not going to go down easily. And God alone is a majority. Now, we're going to end today. And Craig, if I can bear your indulgence, can you show one more video? Do we have time to do it? Yeah, why not? Right. You're a trooper. Here we go.
Crazy. One or the other.
Well,
okay, what's up?
We're all crazy, but I want you to show this video. And it runs for 14 minutes. I just want you to show a minute of it. Put it up and let me know when you're ready to go.
You want to give me an enter on that?
Yeah, I think I did, but I'll do it again. Maybe I didn't. Oh, there you go. You are right, of course, as always. There you go. That's the enter. You got it. And I just want you to see this for a minute. This is the people who showed up these are people who showed up supporting Donald Trump. And
treat the word impossible.
I just want you to play this to end here. And we might play more than 1 minute of it, but play 2 minutes of it, I guess, and then we'll come back. Okay? Tell me when you're ready.
The video that's on the very top?
Yeah, it's the one that says fine edition of November 14th broadcast.
Here we go.
The more people tell you it's not possible,
while you're watching it. Okay,
that it can't be done, the more you should be absolutely determined to prove them wrong. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider. Embrace that label. Being an outsider is fine. Embrace the label. Because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference.
Wow. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. It's the outsiders that change the world. And man, if you saw that camera panning around through that crowd, what a throng. You're muted.
If Donald Trump can have that positive attitude, so can we.
Yep.
In the end, God always wins. It's Jerome Corsi. Today is November 17th, Tuesday. I'm here with my producer, Craig, and Arthur, who has done theprayerfulpatriot.com. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. In the end, God will win here too.
Always victory, everyone. Always victory.
Bless, stay strong, fear not.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255 That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.